bit about my story since I was in Cuba and then when I came to the United States. So I was born in Cuba and I was born in a family that said that they were Catholic but that did not, they were only baptized, they never went back to church. I have previous family like aunts and cousins that in a time in the church they were persecuted by the communist regime and they have to leave the country because of that. So they came to the United States, but I did not know them because they were here for many years before. So by the grace of God, really by the grace of God, I remember when I was 5 years old, I used to live close to the church, to the Catholic church, and I heard for the first time the bells ringing. The bells that, you know, the bells in the church that calls for prayer, that calls that it's time for Mass, that also let us know that somebody passed away. I heard that sound and I was attracted to it. I said, what a beautiful sound. What is that? And I remember as 5 years old going into the church after I heard that sound because since I live close to, I could go. And when I entered, I discovered the beauty of the Catholic Church. You know, sometimes we have the privilege to have beautiful churches, beautiful altars, beautiful statues that remind us of the holiness that we are called to live. We have saints that give us examples to follow and to live as them. And I remember when I entered, it was an infused grace I received at that moment of my faith because I have never heard anything about Jesus, about Our Lady. I was baptized on September 8th, which is the day we celebrate the birth of Our Lady. And also in Cuba, we celebrate the Feast of Our Lady of Charity. So I think that since my baptism, Our Lady consecrated me to her. So I think that's why she gave me that grace of my faith when I entered for the first time to a Catholic church. And as a normal child, I was going to church, but alone. I never had anyone that would ask me to, oh, would you like me to accompany you? Would you like me to? Nothing. None of my parents did. So I had the privilege when I was 7 years old that the sisters who serve in that parish, and that's very important for me because even the name now of my religious community, the sisters were called the servants of the Sacred Heart of Jesus and the poor. So, you know, the Lord, even in those little details, the Lord also shows the path. So the sister asked me if I want to be an altar boy, and I said yes. So the sister took me to a course and how to learn, how to take care for the linens, how to take care for the altar, how to prepare the altar, how to be an altar servant, which is another Christ, how to be a Christ in the altar. And that was my childhood, being with the sisters, helping them, and they teach me the faith, and in a way they prepare me for my vocation. So when I was around 13, 12 years old, I started going more often to the youth groups to be more involved in the church now as a young adult. So one day my dad called me and he said that I was not going to go to church anymore because he thought that the church was only for women and that the men who would go to church were gay. So that's why he says, you're not going to church and you don't have permission to go to church. My parents were divorced, so my grandma, before leaving Cuba, she had two houses that were next to each other. So one house was ours, my brother and we lived with my mom. And then the house next door was my dad, so basically he could see whatever we were doing. So Mass was on Sundays at 9 o'clock in the morning, so he used to get out of the house and be in the porch to see if I was getting out or not. So I was like, okay, you're not going to stop me. So one day I just jumped the backyard fence and went to the back street to the church. But until that didn't last that long, so he realized somebody told him that I was jumping the fence to go to church. So one day we were already, Mass was going to start. And then he appeared in the church and he took me out of church. In the middle, imagine a 12, 13 years old guy, if your dad do that to us. So really sometimes we take for granted this gift we have here in the United States of are the faith. And sometimes even our parents, they're faithful Catholics, go to Mass, and we just, oh, no, I'm tired, I'm going to stay in bed. You know, there's always somebody worse than us that suffer because they cannot practice the faith. So never take for granted this gift you have received. And always, I recommend you to keep it close in your hearts because it's going to bear much fruits. So one day that passed and I was okay, you know, I think, Lord, if this is your will, I mean, I just have to accept it. There are things sometimes in our life that we just have to trust in the Lord, and if this is what He wants, with faith and with courage, sad, yes, hard, yes, but we accept that. Why? Because it's His will. So my 13 and 14 year, I was not able to go to church because my dad prohibited me to go to church. So I was not able to not even step closer to church. So I remembered on Sunday masses passing by, and there's no air conditioning in Cuba in the churches, so the doors are open. So if you walk by, you could see the priest in the altar celebrating the Mass. So that would be my only time I would be able to pass by, when I pass by and I see the priest vested for Mass. So one day my dad called us, and he was telling us that if we would like to come to the United States. And I remember my brother and I, we had to make a decision. My mom told us, it's your future. You have to decide. If you want to stay here, I would love to, but I also don't want to keep you here because you're not going to have a future. You're not going to be able to study. I was already 14 years old, so in a year I would have to go to the military, and that would be horrible because, you know, communist military, they destroy your life. So my brother and I we were younger, so we decided, oh no, let's go to the United States, you know, let's go, we're going to have a future. So it was hard because we had to leave my mom behind, and she's actually still in Cuba. But sometimes those decisions that we make, but it's always the Lord, you know. If they're centered in the Lord, that they be hard, yes. That we're going to suffer, yes, but He will give us so much grace, and even for those who will suffer because of us. In this case, my mom was suffering because the only thing she had in her life was their 2 sons, and they were living to a straight country that she didn't even know she will be able to see us anymore. So I just came here, and I was my first year. I went to high school, but that seed that the Lord planted in my heart since I was a little child never ended. And I remember passing by and seeing that I had a parish near home, but imagine, nobody in my home would. I asked one day, and nobody was able to take me to church. So I just Googled how to go there, and I printed the little map, and it took me 30 to 40 minutes to walk every Sunday to go to the church. So that's what I did probably for 2 years. I would walk to the church, and I would come back walking. So it was, you know, I did exercise. You know, we always have to see the good side of the story. So, and then I started getting more involved in the church. That was always that desire for more, that desire to give it all. It's not enough, Lord. You're asking me more. What is it that I have to do? I didn't know what He wanted. So one day one of my aunts was driving by the Palmetto in Miami, and she saw these, new stuff that they put big, the billboard, yeah. And it says, St. Thomas University, the Catholic University of Miami, has been rebranded and and she told me, why don't you apply there? Maybe, you know, it's a Catholic university, maybe you get accepted, whatever. So I applied, and I was accepted, so I did not apply to any other university. And when I got there, it was good because it was a Catholic university, but I didn't know anybody. When, you know, the Lord works so perfect that when I found out St. Thomas University was a university founded in Cuba, that because of the communist regime, the religious priests that university was founded by the Augustinians, they were taken out of the country, so they were sent to Miami on a plane. All religious and priests or put it on a plane and you're leaving Cuba. So they came to Miami. That was the first cheap land they could buy because they didn't have any. So, and then they started there little by little until it became the university that it was founded in Cuba. So the Lord, even my own experience of leaving and coming and being immersed, it was also happening through the university that I was going to study. And when I started looking for jobs in the university. So one day I found out that campus ministry had a position, so I just called. I went there, and I remember I asked them, how can I would like to work here, and the only position available was the sacristan. I was like, great, this is what I know, because the sisters, I have been with the sisters 13 years, so I really know really well how to take care for the sacristy, how to take care for the linens, everything. So this is what I know. I was like, thank you, Lord, for this opportunity you have given me. But there was a little detail that when I get here, since those sisters that I knew in Cuba, they're the servants of the Sacred Heart. I had a deep devotion to the Sacred Heart of Jesus and the Immaculate Heart of Our Lady. So when I got here, the first thing I did was research about is there any church or any order that has these devotions. So then one day this nice web page, YouTube page of these cool nuns, which are the sisters, appeared, and I was like, wow, they're really good nuns. They have Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, webpage, English, Spanish, I was, wow, this is the new world. Praise the Lord. So I start following the sisters. I start following the Senegals. I start reading Mother Adela's writings. I start immersing in this charism that little I knew I would be part of. And I remember one day we were in a meeting in the university, and the director of campus ministry resigned, so they had to leave. So kind of like a friend and I were running the office for almost a semester alone. Economically, paperwork, spiritually, imagine. These two guys running a campus ministry office in a university. So we did, but I found out I had knew these sisters, so I told him, why don't we propose these sisters? And I think they work in universities, they work in school, they do so much different things. They will be able to help us continue this journey in the university. So we presented, we were rejected at the first time, but I decided to write a note to the Lord. So I wrote a note in a paper, and then since I was a sacristan, I was able to do it. So I just went to the altar and looked at the tabernacle, and I told him, well, Lord, they're your wife. If you don't want them here, that's your problem, but we want them here. So I put, this is the intention, and it will be here, Lord. Whenever you want, it will be done. So I placed it under the altar cloth. Since I changed the altar cloth because I was in the tabernacle, it never got lost. So it was there for a year praying and praying that one day we'll have the privilege to have these sisters that will be able to help us. So one day on a Friday, we were sitting in the office, and we got a call saying that on Saturday morning we were going to have sisters visiting. Of course, I knew the sisters what sisters were. So I remember we even sent to print the logo of the community on a frame. We put the logo so that when they come, they see that we really want them to be here. And they were impacted by the frame because we even bought like a round frame, and we put the logo you have here. We put the logo in the frame in big, and they were really impacted when they saw the logo. So we prepared a golf cart to give them a tour of our campus. We did everything we could do. And suddenly, these two sisters appeared. There was an older sister and a younger sister. The older sister, which she's the bigger general of the community. When I go to her, I approach her. Her name is Sister Anna. So I said, hello, Sister Anna. Welcome to St. Thomas University. And I remember her face was like, I'm sorry, from where do I know you? I don't remember seeing you before. And I was like, sister from the internet. I see your live stream every day. So she was so happy to hear that, because she was so happy. So we get in the tour and everything, but there was a keyword that she said before leaving. She said, you and not like you are united to us in the Eucharist. So every time we celebrate the Eucharist, we'll remember you. So that phrase really impacted me because it was, like, I don't know these nuns. I just know about the university and how much love she had given to me just to that phrase. Brother was sharing, like, we don't have to do big things. Just in the little things, sometimes we show love and we show who we are. So by that little phrase, she told me who she was and the community she belonged to. So this sister came and great, we were having the most beautiful time. And one day I went to a retreat that we had prepared for the students, and suddenly a brother was invited. A couple of months before, I was told during coronavirus, I was helping in the church doing the live streaming, so I would go the entire Sunday, be in the church doing all masses live streaming and all this stuff that, those new things that we do in church now because of COVID. And suddenly somebody told me, have you know this brother that just entered novitiate? And I was like, what? I didn't know they have brothers. I didn't know about this. So in that retreat I went, that brother was invited to help in the retreat. So really when I met this brother, the first thing I said was like, wow, you have such a really nice cross. And his answer was like, well, you got it for free in the convent. And I was like, wow. And then I really like the shoes. Well, not this one that I'm wearing, but the one Brother is wearing, our father is wearing. And I was like, wow, those are really manly shoes. And I was like, you got it for free in the convent. And I was like, and also the sweater looks really nice, the color with the logo embroidered. I was like, you got it for free in the convent. I was like, what are you trying to say? We had an adoration that night, and he prepared an activity about Bible quotes and stuff, something with the Bible. And the only 3 Bible quotes that were related to vocation, guess who got them? I got them. Like, it was like a cestita with a bunch of paper that had quotes written on, and I was the one who took it. I think it was the Holy Spirit, because when I opened it was like, leave everything behind and follow the Lord. Don't fear for this and follow the Lord. And I was like, okay, more clear couldn't be. So I remember, I think the Lord really is showing me these signs, and I felt it in my heart. This is it. So sister put me in contact with father, with brother. I started talking to them. I started this process of discernment to see if this was really what the Lord wanted. So, but sometimes we're a little cabezaduras. So we need that extra confirmation from the Lord. No, I want that to really see that this is what you want. Sometimes we're like that, and the Lord has shown us so much signs, and we want another one. But the Lord sometimes is so merciful that He does it. So I was like, no, I want another one that will confirm this. So I was in a synagogue one night, and it was in a small church, so it has chairs in the parking lot. So when Father passed with the Lord, it will take him really like a long time because he will have to go to the parking lot. And then when I got to the church, it was full, so the only seats available were in the parking lot. So this nun came to me, and I was sitting already, and she was like, you, come with me. I was like, what have I done? I don't even know this sister, and she's calling me. I was like, okay, and she was like, and don't speak anything because there's sisters in the door, and they're not gonna let you get in, those restrictions that you have to count people, and you have to separate people because of all the... I was like, okay, and she was like, you walk behind me and don't move and don't speak. And I was like, and then she took me to the sacristy and she said me, now is your problem, bye. I was like, what am I gonna do here? So suddenly another sister come, oh, I need a reader. So I was like, I can read, I can read in Spanish. So she's like, oh, perfect, you're gonna read for the synagogue. So I read in the synagogue, but then since you read, you sit in the first pew. I always have liked when there are crosses hanging on the air, and that church had a cross hanging in the air. And I was like, wow, Lord, you really are great, What I like, you give it to me just in front of me. And the Senegal starts, and then when the Senegal started, there's this fire inside of me that I didn't know. I was like, what's going on? I have fever. I don't have a cold. What's going on in here? It was like a fire that I could not, I felt, a fire inside of me. I don't know what is this? So Father passed by, and, I think I felt like I received something, but I didn't know what it was. So, but since he had to go to go to the back, I closed my eyes, and literally I saw me dressed as a brother with a habit. I didn't know what habit it was. I just saw myself dressed as a brother. And I was carrying our mother foundress, Mother Adela. She was super, super old, like I would say 100 years old or something. And she was like encorvadita, and she was in a wheelchair. And I was taking her to the chapel. And since mother, now that I am in the community, she sits in a specifically seat in the chapel. So that's always her seat. So since she wasn't able to move to her seat, I placed her next to the seat she usually sits. And then I remember that I kissed her hand and I left. And then when I opened my eyes, that's all. That was it about the vision. So I was like, I was not understanding, and I started crying. What is this? This is really my confirmation, So I was like, what do I do now? That was it. I got out of there, and I remember I called my friend. I was like, this is it. The Lord has spoken, and I'm leaving, basically. So one day the brothers got COVID, and Father was not able to celebrate Mass. Now the brother was able to help in the altar. So the sisters asked the chaplain of the university to go, and if he could help for 3 or 4 days to celebrate Mass. So I was like, this is my chance to know them really well. So I sat in a chair with the priest, and I told him, you're going to tell these nuns that I'm your secretary, and that you could not go and celebrate Mass without me. You're going to tell them that you're secretary, and I'm going to go with you. So, if I was going to be his secretary, I would have to act like a secretary. So I packed his alb in a bag, his chasuble, his stuff, and then I would go. So the first time we got to the convent, I ring the bell, and then the sisters answer. And when the sisters answered, I was like, yes, this is Emilio. I'm Father's secretary. We are here for Mass. And she was so confused who that was. I didn't know you had a secretary, Father, she told him. So I entered, and when I entered the door, basically, I felt I was at my home. When I entered the door, I was like, what is this? It's so weird. I felt like I just went home. And I started looking everywhere. And it was exactly what I saw when I was taking Mother to the chapel. That vision I had never been in the convent before, so I did not know how the convent looked. And that little hallway I was taking Mother actually existed. That exactly as I saw it. So I was like, wow, this is the Lord. It couldn't be. So then the sisters come and ask me, trying to explain me how I would help Father with the things. And I was like, no, sisters, don't worry. I have seen the live stream so much that I know how to do everything, so you don't have to tell me anything. And now I know what a lack of humility, right? So that day, Father celebrated Mass, and I helped. But then after Mass, Mother and Sister Ana came, and then they were talking in the chapel, but Mother was kind of focused on my eyes. So I felt like she was reading my soul, and the priest was talking, and she was answering him, but she was looking to my eyes. I was like, this is so weird, and she read my soul. And then there was a phrase that Sister Ana said before I leave the convent, and she said it in Spanish, so I'm going to say it in Spanish because it sounds better. And then I don't know the translation, how it would sound. So before leaving the convent, Sister Ana told me, mi niño, apréndete el camino porque vas a regresar. I was like, it's like my little child, learn the way because you will return. I was like, it's kind of confusing, but I don't know. It feels excited, And, well, I was in school. I started coming and visiting the convent, and I was completely. I entered the convent on May 7. I finished my last test on May 7 at noon, and I entered the convent on May 7 at 2 p.m. So I finished my last exam and I went to the convent. And, the rest is story, because now let's see what the Lord wants. But here I am, and it's a joy to give my life completely to the Lord and to His mother. So thank you so much.